Hey guys, just wanted to give you all an update on my Hollow Palm Chayula monk. At this point, we are level 88 and are currently doing tier 15 bosses and have done things like pinnacles as well. Not really higher tiered pinnacles, just tier 0s, tier 1s. But we are slowly ramping into the end game and have swapped our character completely over to crits. But before we go into that, I wanted to go over my stats. So right now we have 1.6k life, we have 3.4k energy shield, 113 spirit, 895 mana, we have 46 evasion, and we are still capped out on all res except for chaos. My character still isn't the tankiest right now. I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do for the survivability side of things. I want to get my evasion higher, but it's definitely proven to be pretty hard to continue to push evasion, plus also scaling without going like more evasion stats from like my gloves and my boots, for example. But we'll see what the right spread is. But that is my character at the moment. So since last time, you might have noticed that I have picked up the Thunderfist Utility Wrap Gloves. These are fairly expensive. At the base, they are about 7 div, I think. These ones were more expensive because they have level 19 Crackling Palm. But I ended up divving it and got some pretty good stats, which I was very happy about. But yeah, I think the verdict on these are that they are not that great. If you look at my stats right now, you can see the tooltip for my Ice Strike is going to be about 43k. And if we put on these gloves, it only goes down by a little bit. It goes down to about 43.5k as opposed to 43.9k. So really not that big of a difference. And also one thing to take a note is that these gloves do not have any crit damage on it. It doesn't have any flats on it. So really there's a lot more to go for the ceiling of these gloves. So they're only going to get stronger if we get better stats, and these are just going to be staying the same. So I would probably say that the Thunderfist gloves are definitely not worth the money, but they're pretty damn cool though. Calling down purple lightning all the time is a lot of fun, and I do enjoy playing with them. So I'll probably play them, on my character until I swap over to the chaos variant of this build, and that should be happening pretty dang soon. But in terms of our gems and stuff, they have kind of changed in terms of the setup. So right now we have Into the Breach with Harmonic Remnants, Remnant Potency, but we also have Cannibalism, but that's only because we have some Spirit on a necklace. If you don't have it, don't worry about it. I have Shattering Palm with Momentum, Elemental Armament, Magnified Area, and Ambush. I might take off Ambush because our crit rate is pretty dang high already. So we'll see if I want to keep this. But then we have Ice Strike, which has Crescendo, Blindside, Ice Bite, Concentrated Area, and Rage 3. We updated these from before. I added Blindside just to get a little bit more crit on it, and then I added Rage 3 to get a little bit more attack speed on it. So that's kind of my setup for Ice Strike. I might take out Concentrated Area for like rapid attacks or something. We'll see. I do like attacking faster. It is nice. So we'll see if we end up doing that. We added Hand to Chayula, which is nice for applying curses. We use it to apply elemental weakness and voltaic mark. That way we have more damage against the boss from elements. And then also voltaic mark shocks and increases the shock magnitude. So that's really nice. We have rapid attacks and heightened curse. For Bell, we are currently with Abundance, Heavy Swing, Close Combat, and Heft. Stormwave, I would say that I actually really like Stormwave still, even though it isn't the strongest skill out there. It's nice to use when there's a lot of enemies grouped up together and we just don't want to get in there, especially when it comes to like abyss mobs with like the little green gloopy glop on the ground. It really is tough because whenever you stand over it, you basically just don't get to heal because the amount of damage that it does is insane. So we use these for those types of situations. I have rapid attacks on it, branching fissures, lightning attunement, and electrocute. I don't know if electrocute is super useful. I was thinking about using this as a form of generating charges. That way we can use Stormwave every now and then for charge generation while we're like ranging the enemy. But honestly, I might probably take this out for another one like Elemental Armament or something like that. It didn't seem very useful. Wind Dancer, We have maim and pin. I think there's a couple more that you can put in there, like blind and like something else that I have on the mobile list guide, but honestly, I've just been too lazy to put them in. We are now using Ghost Dance, and we are still using Combat Frenzy. One thing that you might notice is I am not using any heralds. And the reason for that is, to me, it really didn't seem like the heralds were doing all that much. Shattering Palm really was taking care of most of the heavy lifting. So I just took it off, and it really didn't make that much of a difference. So I just kept it off. Now I can run Ghost Dance without having extra spirit. If you have extra spirit on your chest armor or your amulet, you can definitely run back your herald. I'd suggest Herald of Ice for if you don't have Thunderfist. If you have Thunderfist, I kind of like Herald of Thunder just because they are better for a single target. So I do kind of like that. Charge Staff, it's still very much utility. We have Prolonged Duration, Blind, Perpetual Charge, and Shock. And then we have Vaulting Impact with Prolonged Duration, Rapid Attacks, and Cadence. Now, Vaulting Impact is something I've been experimenting with and playing around with. I don't necessarily know if the thing where it breaks stance is really that worth actually running the skill. So I need to do a little bit more testing on it, but this is what I'm running for it while I'm just kind of here. But yeah, for Charge Staff, we are also, the reason why we're running Blind is because we're running Blind Side on our Ice Strike. While we do have Blind built into our tree, like right here, 5% or 10% chance to hit enemies with Blind, it just didn't feel like it was consistent enough. So I went ahead and just put Blind on this, just that way we're always having Blind on our attacks. So yeah, that is the gem setup. As for the equipment, I don't think there's too much of a change. I think I might have changed like the body armor. Actually, I changed quite a bit now that I'm thinking about it. But the stats are pretty much the same. Helmet, you're going to want as high ES as possible with resistances and intelligence or whatever stat you want on there. Personally, you can also get crit chance, which is a boost to your DPS, but I just like having the stats because this is kind of a stat hungry build. For our chest armor, same as before, survivability with stats. You could get spirit on here, but that's kind of expensive. But again, as high evasion rating and as high energy shield as possible. For our gloves, like I said, we have Thunderfist, but then we also have these energy shield gloves. Personally, I like the energy shield gloves over the hybrid ones just because you get more energy shield. We're planning to go CI later, so that's going to be very useful. So you want to get +2 melee attacks on these. And then for the belt, we're still rocking a rare belt. Honestly, I should probably go Ingenuity, but my rings, I just don't think they're good enough for Ingenuity. So we currently just have this belt on here, just survivability stats. And then for boots, we have a little bit of move speed, stats, and survivability, as high energy shield as possible. Again, as per usual with this Hollow Palm playstyle. For the accessories, I still have the same ring as before. We have Leech on this for Life Leech, and we have Mana Leech on here on this other ring. Again, you're going to want to try to get as much flat damage on these rings as possible. I don't have that much, but it's mostly because it's very expensive to get a lot of flats, so, and like have the survivability for it. So yeah, that's kind of the situation there. And then for our amulet, we anointed Overwhelming Strike because it's a very, very cheap anoint. I think it costs like 7 chaos to anoint, so it's pretty nice for what it costs. 20% crit chance for attacks and 20% critical damage bonus. Personally, I would prefer to go for Storm Charged, but that's just because, well, we don't have it right now just because of price. Storm Charge is fairly expensive, so this isn't going to be our end game amulet, so we just kind of went with that. But yeah, this one has +3 to melee, has energy shield, which is really nice. Also rolled evasion, pretty dang nice. And then we have some survivability with resistances on there. But yeah, I think right now for the charms, I really like running a silver charm because the like chilled groundless league is absolutely terrible. It has been absolutely terrible to run, and it feels like it is like a temporal chains map when you have it. So I just want to slow a silver charm for that reason. Now for the tree, I did, as I mentioned, swap completely to crit. So we are going all crit nodes now. And I also purchased this, the Heart of the Well, just for fun. It wasn't really like a, oh, this is going to be like huge damage or anything like that. I just want to see how good the instant leech was, and it had a little bit of chaos damage on it. So I was like, what the heck? We'll see if we can just leech right now without going full chaos damage with his original sin. But it wasn't that good, unfortunately. So I'll probably get rid of this, but you're probably just going to want to get critical chance, critical damage, and energy shield on pretty much everything. If you get in against the darkness, that's also pretty dang strong, but I don't really see that being a thing that I'm going to get anytime soon, if ever. But yeah, so pretty much mostly the same on the tree. It's just that we swapped a crit. I have the Mobalytics guide updated for the early endgame version. So you can take a look at that if you want to see what I'm running on my character right now. One thing I did want to talk about though before we wrap this tree part up is the Chonk Ascendancy. And now that I've gone through all of the mapping process, gotten to tier 15s and everything, I've spent a good bit of time on the Chonk. And I think that my opinion of the Chonk has pretty much stayed the same in that you probably still want to go Invoker as a league starter or like, maybe like a Deadeye or something like that. Those are definitely going to be more solid options as like an initial character. I think that Chonk is just in general a very gear dependent ascendancy if you want to make it work, because you do want to go full chaos on it. And in order to do that, you do need to go original sin and essential sanguis, which costs some money. The other thing is that I did end up trying the unraveling node, and unfortunately it just isn't very good. So originally when I looked at it, I was like, okay, well, it makes it so that your chaos can freeze, ignite, and shock, and it swaps every 2 seconds. I was like, okay, well, it swaps every 2 seconds. If you do enough damage, you should be able to do all 3 of those ailments before it swaps. But unfortunately, there is a big issue with this. And the issue is that these don't swap like from freeze to ignite to shock, or like from freeze to shock to ignite. It's just completely random. So you can just roll ignite like 4 times in a row or something like that, and then you can just never get freeze or shock. So the actual practicality of this is not very high because of that. It would be much better if it just cycled sequentially. That way you're always going to have like, shock lasts 8 seconds, right? So pretty much you're always going to have shock up, and you're always going to be adding to freeze magnitude and things like that. So that would have been good, but unfortunately it doesn't work that way. So as a result, it's just not very good. So I end up unspecking off of it. So now I am specced into Sap of Nightmares, Choice of Power, and Inner Turmoil. And with this, all I have to say is I think honestly Chonk might have actually got nerfed between last patch and this patch, if I'm gonna be real. So thinking about it this way, right? Unraveling or Inner Turmoil gives you volatility, and this is so inconsistent. Like sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't. It lasts 10 seconds, and then like you have to like not attack for 4 seconds to pop it, which doesn't happen all that often. Like it's just really inconsistent, and a lot of times when it does pop, you're like not fighting any monsters during that entire 10 seconds. Like the reason why it pops, right, is because you're not fighting for 4 seconds, and oftentimes, more likely than not, you might be not fighting for like 10 seconds at a time, and then you just lose most of the buff by the time you get to the next fight. So this is just very inefficient. And then with Waking Dream, sure, this is basically the same, but then you have all Flames of Chayula. You can manifest a certain color, which is kind of a buff, but also before you were able to get a more duration on this, and I think you're able to get more duration by linking the prolonged duration gem into the breach. So like this technically like got nerfed as well in certain ways. And then I would say that Sap of Nightmare is just a worse version of the previous leech, where we had it so that you can leech mana, and then your mana leech would also leech your energy shield. You didn't need to rely on Essentia Sanguis. You didn't need to get leech on your rings for health. Like I actually just think that Chonk just got nerfed. It's kind of crazy because the whole thing was to rework them and make them stronger, but I really see less of a reason to play Chonk now compared to before, because the thing that they were good at, which was the leech, and it's what everybody played them for last league, is now worse than ever before. So yeah, if I were you guys, I probably wouldn't play Chonk for most builds. But yeah, maybe it might change when I get to swap to the Chaos version, which again, I think that doesn't matter. Like Chonk last league was better than this league in that aspect, so it doesn't change the fact that it kind of got a nerf. But we'll see if it's actually the ascendancy. We can at least make use of Sap of Nightmares when we get the full Chaos build up and running. But yeah, that about wraps it up. I think actually, well, last thing is that I am preparing to go and swap to full Chaos soon. As you can see, I have my Sensuous Sanguis, and I also have my Original Sin. And we'll be swapping probably on tonight's stream. So if you guys want to hang out, see how that goes, come on down. Twitch.tv/Shiro. I stream there every single night. And also, if you enjoyed this video, please remember to hit the sub button. It is the best way to support the channel, and it is completely free. So that's about it, guys. Hopefully I'll see y'all on the next one. All right, guys. Peace.